Okay. Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the presentation entitled Exploring English as an International Language in Novice Teachers, the inclusions of local cultural-based teaching materials. I'm Intan Dewi, and here is my current research together with my supervisors. I'm currently studying as master students majoring English education in Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. So to begin with my presentation, I would like to share these 5 parts of my presentation. The first one, the issues, literature review, research method, result, and also the discussions. Okay, let's first look at the issues of the research. So begin with the native speakerism, which is defined as the idealizations and promotions of those who are labeled as the native speakers or people who represent the Western cultures more on English and its methodology in English language teachings. And this native speakerisms leads to the process of cultural disbelief, where the case of disbelieving personal culture as the results of the insecurities toward the process of legitimating native speakers of English culture. So, for example, in our context of English as foreign language, it is probably more promoting the Western cultures than our culture itself, where we are not experiencing the Western culture at all. So it is maybe hard for us to see the necessity and shows and respect our own cultures. And this native speakerism and cultural disbeliefs form or mold the teacher identity, where they slightly focus more on the exposure to the native speakers, while they should be promoting the local identity as what our curriculum has said before. And then these 3 issues leads to the issues of teaching materials adaptation, where is it still hard to find rigorous research on local cultural-based items. But then the local cultural-based content in teaching materials seems prominent in picturing the topic to the learner's context. But yes, it has not been well promoted. Right. Okay, and the literature review, I put 2 cases here, the English as an international language and the local cultural-based teaching materials. So there are many definitions of English as an international language, but here what I take for my research. So this is the definition from McKay 2018, that she said English language teaching should aware and respect the variety of English and support learners to be competent users without putting favoritisms to the native speaker of English. And also it supported also by Matsuda 2018, as it says that the understanding of EIL English as an international language could be empowered by utilizing the local cultural base and contextual teaching materials. Then this definitions of English as an international language leads to the definitions of local cultural-based teaching materials, where it states that teaching materials may support the introductions of cultural relevance and their language learning. Away Bishara 2015 also adds that enhancing cultures in the teaching materials content may serve the first acquirement of other language as they picture the topic into their familiar context. Combining these two terms, and I come up with the notion of the lack of cultural base and contextual teaching materials is also strengthened by the dominant focus on EFL teaching materials to expose more on the native speaker of English culture and features. It's also stated by Galloway and Majid 2019, and it makes EFL teaching practices harder to be understood by the learners. Right, and here is the research design. So the research design that applied in the research is narrative case study, as I want to explore more and discover teachers' experience in achieving what novice teachers have acknowledged in their practices, especially narrative case study intended to explore the paradigm of English as international language and the inclusions of its paradigm in novice teacher teaching materials. And then the research participants. So I focus on 3 novice teachers with the similarity of educational background, school background, level of teaching, and the teaching topics, and also the teaching experience, which is 2 years in senior high school. The instrumentations of the research, I included 3 instruments: and pre-interview, document analysis, and post-interview. And all the set questions for the interviews are adopted from research. For example, pre-interview was adopted from when 2017, and the indicators that match with the international English as an international language are English varieties, the difference between native and non-native English, and also teachers' language proficiency. Also, for the document analysis, I also adopted the set of document analysis from Rose and Montakatniwong 2018, where it stated the influence of native English, the exposure of local identity, and also the contextuality between language and surroundings. For the post-interview, I also adopted the Galloway and Majeri set of questions, which I choose only 3 out of 4 indicators, which are recalling experience in delivering materials, barriers in implementing English as an international language, and also English as an international language proposal. Right, and the findings. So I stated 3 findings here, and it's between local and cultural based and standard English, where teachers still, yes, they're accepting the inclusions of local cultural based items, such as the familiar text for students, and also items in the sentence to foster student engagement, but also students still doubt about the portions of local cultural based exposure and the standard English. But they are pleased to include local cultural based items, but they still feel necessity to expose students to other cultures. And barrier in implementing English as international language on teaching materials. So teachers still find it hard to adapt and develop local cultural-based and contextual materials, as they find it is still limited sources to do so, and also for the time limitations and any other limitations that trouble them. And the English as an international proposal on teaching materials, teachers start to be mindful in choosing the local cultural base and contextualized items in their teaching materials, but they are still need to consider the students' level of competency and the goals of the teaching also. And then teachers also willing to explore more on the paradigm to get the viable understanding and its implementations, and also teachers anticipate learning more about raising student awareness on their local identity and lessen the cultural disbelief. Right. So the discussion relies on the effort on shifting the belief of native speakerism. Thoughts on standardized English and local cultural based on teaching. The attempt to include English as international language may seem complex and complicated, and there is still a limited compatible model of pedagogy to reinforce the concept in the classroom. So that is why research on this should be more engaged and maybe should be supported. The second discussions, so the establishment of teacher identity in utilizing students' real-world context as in the teaching materials encourage student engagement in the learning. However, repetitive exposure to the familiar items will make lethargy and decreasing engagement. So that what we should discuss more. And then the second one is students' understanding is shaped based on their local recall experience and knowledge here. But teacher understanding, assistance, and readiness to implement local cultural base and contextual items should be highlighted beforehand. Right. Okay, thank you for joining the presentation. Any feedbacks, addition, corrections are very welcome on my emails at Intan Dewi at up.edu or maybe at the inserted number there, or any kind of communication platform is very welcome. So thank you very much and have a nice day.